Most people don't fail because they don't have a vision. They fail because they don't execute. Welcome to the Uncontested Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Zarin Michael. This podcast isn't just about what I'm building. It's about the journey and the process. The things we're afraid to say out loud. I'm not above that. I deal with that too. But I made a decision to move forward anyway. And if you find yourself in that same space, then you're in the right place. Let's do it together.
Tell me how we get here. Tell me where we finna go. I thought you always be here. You could at least let me know.
I think one of the most dangerous places that someone can live is within their own mind for too long. Wanting to revisit old memories and replay back past conversations and wishing things were different, right? That's not really necessarily healthy for when you're trying to grow and be who you need to be in the present leading up to your future. Like, it got to the point, y'all, where it got so bad where a lot of times, again, I would have anxiety and I would just be in my head so much where sometimes I won't even take action on certain things because I will like constantly play things in my mind, like play them up to a bad point. But it's like I'll play them in my mind trying to predict the future before it even happens. So it's like, all right, if I do this, I'll do this. This will happen. Or if I do this, this will happen. But that may not even necessarily be the outcome. It's just me kind of scaring myself out of it. And that anxiety attacking me to a point where it causes me to not take any action. Like, you got to realize you can really emotionally exhaust yourself when you think from hypothetical situations. When you don't live life based in reality and you think of how things could be constantly, it really is just taxing and draining to your energy. And again, y'all not alone. Like, so if anyone that's going through that, I just want to let you know that even me, right? Like, a lot of times you can see things on the surface of just how the art and the creativity and the things that I have, which may inspire you to be like, man, this guy, he's got it all figured out. I promise you I don't. I promise you I don't. I promise you I'm going through the same things. It's just about taking that action and understanding that, that's truly what uncontested vision means. Like, taking that action through it all, through that exhaustion, through those times and moments where you want to give up and you're still dealing with this real life stuff, but you still got to push the art every single day. That's essentially what I deal with, what I go through. A lot of people may not even know what's in my mind. It's just so many different things and so many contemplations and things that I have in my head where I'm talking to myself about certain outcomes. And it's just so easy to kind of bury to keep everything moving, right? Like, keep that face on. Obviously, but we've talked about in some previous episodes how that's not healthy. But that's just what you used to, especially me, especially men, and especially Black men. That's what we used to, just burying those emotions deeply and just allowing those to be hidden, unspoken, right? Words to be unspoken so that we can continue to push forward. But we never really talk about. But of course, we always do these things in hopes of success, right? But and that's always the main goal and the main piece, the main key. We always talk about success, but we never really talk about the emotional development that's required to get to that level of success that you want. And of course, success is relative and for different people, but it takes a lot of healing, which is essentially what I'm going through right now. And therapy has helped a lot with that. A lot of times in the Black communities, like, that's something that's kind of, or I don't want to just say Black community, but in communities, that's something that's kind of just looked down upon, like healing and going to therapy and talking through things and learning more about yourself. That's really ultimately how you grow. Like, of course, it's going to take more than that. It's going to take the intention and the action as well. But that's definitely a stepping stone and a great piece that's allowed me to kind of see certain things, see negative habits that I've had and how I can turn those into positive habits and just things that I do about, within me that may not necessarily be healthy, that I'm starting to kind of realize that I want to change. And sometimes it just takes that deep dive to understand those things and allows you to really see them for what they are. But that's something that I've struggled with, especially as I've built up and released the project Unspoken Words, just living in these realities in my mind. Like, and I say realities because they're not realities, but just like understanding, like y'all seen, obviously we all up to this point, most people are familiar with the Avengers and the new saga, the multiverse and all that stuff. That's really how my mind works. Like I always just think of so many different versions of myself, how I can be those versions, what that could look like, how if I change this thing, how I could ultimately be that, or if I adjusted this, if I made this decision, how I can ultimately have that or be that version. Now, of course, it's all about a balance, but that's, I just like to be honest with y'all as y'all continue to connect, as we continue to connect and share my story with y'all, just the struggles that I've been through, so y'all can understand that it takes work. And another thing as well, like I started to understand that nostalgia distorts memory. A lot of times our minds will try to remember the comfort of whatever scenario or situation we've been through and ignore the confusion and pain that came with that comfort. It's so easy to fall into that, being that comfortability. That doesn't lead to growth. And we don't really understand that, comfortable doesn't mean exceedingly, right? Comfortable means it's just comfort, right? So you're comforted and you're settling for a certain scenario, but there are other emotions that come with that as well. And that's been a major key, a major theme within Unspoken Words, and just understanding how comfortable I was with life, just certain scenarios and relationships, and having to have my eyes open to understand that I don't even want to be comfortable no more. I deserved and I wanted things in an abundance. And again, I understand how that could come off as selfish, but we have to realize just that it's your life and we only got one life to live. And a big thing that I noticed as I go through this journey and I go through these changes is just the addictions that I have, and understanding that isolation can become an addiction. Like, of course, I always like to kind of get away, be to myself. I feel like I'm more productive when I am by myself, but then that also leads to me wanting to be by myself all the time. So in that's not really healthy, as we do need to be around others and in different environments to inspire and motivate us as well, because environments shape identity, as we discussed before. But just understanding that, again, these certain things that I thought were healthy are not, and trying to manage them in the most effective way. And of course, as you isolate, this will lead you to internalizing your emotions and not expressing them. I've gotten to a great point where I've started to communicate at a much higher level without fears. But again, there are still things that are going to come through that. And no, let me go back. I said communicate without fears, but that's not true, because a lot of times the fear is often still there. Like even when I'm on a stage, right? When I'm on a stage, or I'm about to do a show, or about to have a performance, I'm still scared. But it's just about doing it and just leaning into that fear and coming out stronger, and understanding that you can do anything you put your mind to. And I also had to realize that self-talk helps your identity. Internal dialogue between yourself can influence your perspective and your view on the world and others. Again, if you constantly talking negative or talking from a fear, anxious standpoint, then that's gonna become your everyday life. So of course it's okay to have the thoughts, because things, it's a lot of times we can't control those thoughts, but just kind of get a hold of them. Do what you can to bring them in, reel them in, center yourself, pray if necessary, and you'll get through it. But begin to replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and you'll be able to see the changes immediately. And again, I appreciate you guys so much for tapping in. As you know, we just dropped the Way Back When video, which I appreciate all the support that you guys giving for that as well. And Now we're just working on the short film. So Unspoken Words, the EP is out, but I got a short film that I'm attaching to it as well that I'm really excited for as we continue to build it out. The script is done, the writing, or at least, to get to a point of fleshing it out and recording it, but the main concept of the script is done. So just continue to build that, sharing it with some friends and peers as well, just to get some feedback and to continue to grow. But I'm super excited. This will be my first short film that I've written. Of course, I've, written in spaces like in my music spaces and things like that, but it's just a totally different lane, a totally different world. So I'm excited I won't say totally different because I try to incorporate my visuals, so my music videos, into, I would say, like mini films, right? But obviously this is just going to be a little different because I just have a different expectation towards it. But Way Back When video is out now. So if you haven't seen that, please go tap in, comment, like, share. I'm going to get that link below as well. And then short film is on the way. We got the final episode of the mini series dropping this week as well. So just continuing to build out everything for you guys and just continue to share my mind, because everything that I put out are just essentially things that themes and concepts that I've had, over the years that I've allowed to build in my mind. And now I'm just being able to express those and be more vulnerable to the world and to my peers. So, and on a final note, sometimes peace doesn't come from just changing the environments, because of course in the past we talked about how environments shape your identity. But first, where you'll need to start is reshaping those internal thoughts in your mind. I appreciate, again, all the support that you guys have given. We're going to continue to keep rolling everything out and keep building. And if you guys want to connect, if you guys want to work or collab on anything, I'm always here. You could definitely reach out to me via any of my socials, which will be linked below. It's your boy Super. We out.
Tell me how we get here. Tell me where we finna go. I thought you always be here. You could at least let me